The city of Atlanta being held hostage by cyber attackers tonight. Your name, your information could all be in the hands of a hacker.
So who did it, and how did the city allow it to happen? We're asking the questions.
A deadly house fire leaving investigators wondering why this house went up in flames.
And another big day in the Tex MacGyver murder trial. His interrogation video played for the jury. The late feed starts right now.
The city of Atlanta has experienced a ransomware cyber attack.
Right now, Atlanta is under cyber siege. The city's computers being held hostage by hackers who are demanding ransom. We were the first to tell you about this story, and our 11 Alive team has stayed on top of it all day long. Started at 5:40 this morning with this email from the hackers, and we have no idea when all of this is going to end. Many city systems are being affected, from courts to customer apps, and potentially millions across the metro area, including possibly you. Ryan Kruger is live at City Hall tonight, and City Hall could be shut down tomorrow. Ryan, what's the latest on all of that?
I like the one that had a service.
Yeah, that's likely not going to happen, Vinny. City Hall, the courts should be open. In fact, right now, I'm told there are workers inside City Hall right now trying to figure out how big this breach is. And that's one of the biggest concerns we're hearing tonight. We don't know who all is impacted. Could be city employees, it could be city residents, it could be anyone who's done business with the city, or it could be no one. We don't know yet. We're getting a lot of concerning questions from you on Facebook and on Twitter, so we took 4 of your biggest questions, and here are the best answers we have for them tonight.
Nearly 20,000 of you tuned in to the 11 Alive Facebook page to watch Atlanta city officials admit the city's computer systems were taken over by hackers. These are the top 4 questions we received from you on social media. The first question comes from Janine on Facebook, who asked what happened and who was affected.
This attack has encrypted some of the city data. However, we're still validating the extent of the compromise.
Translation: hackers got into the city's computer systems and are essentially holding them hostage until the city pays up more than $50,000. The city says the emergency services are still running, but they're still trying to figure out how big this breach actually is. The second question comes from Chris on Twitter, who asked if you've ever paid a parking ticket to the city. Will I be compromised too?
I would ask that people assume that you may be included if data has been breached.
But that's really the $50,000 question. City officials don't know if your personal information was stolen. And that leads us to Nat's question, which came to us on Facebook, and it asks, as citizens and business owners, how do we protect ourselves? Well, the best advice is to treat this like you would any other hack. Monitor your credit reports and your bank accounts, and pay attention to any new alerts as we learn new information about this hack. And finally, Ray on Facebook says hopefully the mayor and the city can get to the bottom of this soon. The city says they're working with the FBI along with 2 private companies, Microsoft and Cisco, to fix this. But there's no word on how long that might take.
And the good news is 911 emergency services, those are all running as normal, so that will not be impacted. Again, City Hall, the courts, they do plan to open tomorrow, but they are saying they're expecting a lot of issues even tomorrow as they try to figure out all of this out. As far as that ransom goes, that $51,000, I asked Mayor Bottoms, is the city going to pay that? The city says right now they're not sure. Vinny?
Thanks, Ryan. Ron, you know, you're a former cop. I'm a former prosecutor. We have a lot of questions about why and how all this happened.
Absolutely.
We brought in Willis McDonald from Core Security, threat manager there. Thanks for joining us. Who do you think's behind this one?
It's hard to say. I mean, this could be any number of groups out there, but this particular group uses a particular piece of malware that they compromise systems and encrypt all the systems within the network and just render them useless.
So what happens if the city does not unlock the encryption? What happens to them?
If they don't unlock the encryption, they have to rely on backups, and backups can take up to weeks to restore depending on what was encrypted, what they lost in the attack. So the cost of actually restoring those backups could be more than actually paying the ransom.
Wow, so they're shut down for quite some time now. What about the taxpayers? What is the cost to the taxpayers in all of this? Because I want to point this out. This is what we learned. The city has said it is bringing in experts from Cisco, Microsoft, the FBI, and Homeland Security. So that has to be really expensive here, Willis.
Wow, that's a lot of people to bring in for this. And given the cost being somewhere in the neighborhood of $51,000,
wow,
it's going to be cheaper just to pay the ransom and decrypt their files.
Cheaper to pay the ransom than to bring in all these folks to try to fix it.
Experts.
All right, how about my PC? What if I get hacked by this ransomware? What should I do?
Depends on what you do. If you have good backups, restore your backups. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay the ransom.
If you pay, are you okay? Will they give you your stuff back?
Depending on who it is, well, you just have to do it. You have to take that risk.
Another risk. Thanks so much, Willis. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, so fellas, let's talk about how we got from there to here. It started about 18 hours ago, early this morning. So this is what happened. Around 5:30 in the morning, the city sends out an email to all of its employees telling them about this major IT issue and that they should power down and unplug from the wall. Now, we broke this story around 6 hours later, right around 11 a.m. So this is what happened next. Shortly after noon, the city of Atlanta emailed us to 11 Alive saying it was experiencing outages, no confirmation of an actual attack. Then we learned a few minutes later the FBI was actually working with the city to figure out what happened. And here's what happened next. Around 4:30, this is what happened. The city holds a news conference to explain their response to the attack, and the city is defending its response.
This was just made aware, known to us this morning. How many companies have you seen deal with this who come before the public days, weeks later? So we didn't want to do that. We wanted to come before you as soon as we were made aware.
City officials say they will offer more information as they continue this investigation.
Let's talk about Atlanta, folks. New survey came out which shows we are the third fastest growing city in the country. We're a top 10 metro area competing with the big boys, you know, Philly, Boston, New York. But today's mess at City Hall, with Atlanta being held hostage by some ransomware for how much?
$1 million.
No, not millions, but $51,000? That's just another painful reminder that we're not there yet. Call them growing pains or just call them pains. Too many little things seem to cripple our town. If we want to be a grown-up city, then let's act like a grown-up city.
I'm a big kid now.
And do the things that grown-up cities do, like, I don't know, update the infrastructure to support what's going on here. And if anyone from Amazon is watching right now, forget what I said. And don't forget to grab something to eat at the Varsity. All right, you know social media already roasting Atlanta over this. Lynn promising to go back to rotary phones, while John says he caught Alexa packing her bags. But do you think this is the biggest black eye to the city's reputation? Weigh in on our 11 Live Facebook page. We'll tell you our picks at the end of the show.
All right, Vinny, we got some breaking news tonight. A teenage girl shot by an ex-boyfriend at her high school in Maryland on Tuesday is now being taken off life support. That's going to begin our speed feed tonight. The mom of 16-year-old Jaylyn Willie says her daughter has no life left in her. She was allegedly gunned down in the hallway of her high school. The ex-boyfriend eventually killed by a school resource officer. By the way, student survivors of the shooting in Parkland, Florida, are in the nation's capital ahead of the huge march planned on Saturday. They're calling on thousands of other young people to march through the streets of Washington and other cities around the globe, including right here in Metro Atlanta, to demand stronger gun control laws. We'll be on top of that one. A high-speed chase through Atlanta involving an ambulance. Georgia state troopers say they noticed it didn't have a state tag, and they watched him make an illegal move to get onto Interstate 20. Troopers chased it onto Flat Shoals Road, where the ambulance then slammed into another vehicle, kept on going before hitting another vehicle, and then hitting a telephone pole. The driver arrested, and troopers found he had a suspended license. Another big change in the Trump administration tonight, and it was announced in a tweet. John Bolton will be the new National Security Advisor. He's going to replace H.R. McMaster. Bolton served in high-level positions in administrations of presidents of Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, and George W. Bush. He is known for his hard-line foreign policy views.